The Dragon and the Witch by S.A. McKay. A long time ago, in a land far, far away. That's how these things start. It's the typical way. There once lived a girl, a fiery witch. She was kind and was happy. Now there's a story switch. They say witches are evil, that they're up to no good. Witches eat souls and they wreck neighborhoods. But this girl was different, I believe I did say. She made cures and good potions, and each day she would play. She floated with flutterbys, climbed trees with the monkeys. She waddled with stinky bumper puffs, though they smelled a bit skunky. She chatted with Charlies, 'cause who'd call them squirrels? This fiery witch was not your typical girl. But being a witch, she lived on her own. Far from the village is where she called home. Sometimes it got lonely, sometimes it got scary. Monsters would come, big-eyed and hairy. They'd pound on her door, they'd chase her around, and then she would hide until she was found. She had no escape, and it oft made her sad. Why won't they let me be? I'm a good person, not bad. Life, it's not easy, and it's not always fair. Wasn't there anyone who might actually care? Far from her cottage, the little witch called her home. Still in the forest, but way down past the gnomes. Another did live with similar thoughts. I try to be good, other dragons do not. I eat only bad people, loot only the wealthy. I don't roar too loud, I try to be stealthy. I protect the village, keep marauders at bay. It's a vigilant patrol I do every day. Yet nights hunt me down, children run and they hide. People screams and their tears hurt me inside. There are none I can turn to, not even my kind. Because I wasn't like them, they left me behind. I know life's not easy, it's not always fair. But could I please have a friend? Someone? Somewhere? These thoughts crossed their minds, more than either would admit, yet they pushed on each day. It's life, you roll with it. The witch found her joy in helping the village, playing her games, not eating her spinach. The dragon was happy when flying around, munching on bad guys and saving the town. But something was missing, they both felt it still. Will today be the day? Maybe it will. The morning was long for our poor dragon friend. Challenge upon challenge from beginning to end. He decided a nap was in his best interest, so with a shady spot found, he munched on some bismuth. The day for the witch was also quite hectic. Run down by demons, lost her eels of electric, so in search she did go to replenish her stock. Off to the river with a spare set of socks, and wouldn't you know the path she did take led her right to a creature that looked like a snake, but with wings and claws and hair on its chin, and humongous in size, from debut to fin. She stood there in awe for a second or two. Her eyes got wide, and her mouth said, "Ooh." That little sound made was all it did take. The dragon's eyes opened, and he began to wake. "Hello, little girl, are you not going to run?" She said. "Want a piece of my gum?" "I've never had gum. How does it go?" She held a piece in her hand, and he sniffed with his nose. "I'll take off the wrapper and give it to you. It goes in your mouth, and you chew, chew, chew." The little pink candy rolled round on his tongue, and he made a few chomps, then it seemed he was done. "You need to keep chewing if you want to make bubbles." "I think I swallowed my gum. Does that mean I'm in trouble?" "You swallowed your gum? But why? But why?" "It was small and was tasty. Does this mean I will die?" No sooner these words had left Dragon's mouth than a noise was heard coming far from his south. A little pink bubble began to emerge from the place where you're thinking I'm not using the word. Bigger and bigger the bubble did get. Soon he did hover, his backside did lift. His body rose up a few feet from the ground. The witch grabbed his paw and made struggling sounds. "You're just too big, or I'm just too small." "Come along and just trust me. I won't let you fall." Trepidatious and scared, but threw caution aside, she held on to his paw and went along for the ride. The tips of the treetops soon were in view. What beautiful skies in the late afternoon. The witch's heart pounded with touches of fear, not knowing the dragon had done this for years. "Aren't you afraid that we'll crash and we'll fall?" "I do this each day, so no worries at all." "You float round with bubbles coming out of your butt?" "Not with bubbles, but wings, and do you know what? This is the first time that company's come for the ride, and flew through the clouds and ate white fluffy pies." The little witch smiled, and her eyes filled with joy. Adventures with friends are better than alone with your toys. They finally landed, at least for the day. In front of her cottage down they did lay. "You're not like the other witches I've known. You're good and you're kind, so why are you alone?" A frown flashed her lips, and softly she spoke. I don't like the word witch. It's like a bad joke. Then what shall I call you? Do you have a name? Please don't make me guess. I'm no good at games. The people in town call me girl to my face. I'm the girl with the curls, but I feel out of place. It's not what I like, but it's better than witch. What about you? Is it a name I slur? Or say with a lisp? The dragon's eyes sunk, and he said in sad tone, No one calls me anything. I'm always alone. Then I'll call you Shadow, and you can spend days here by my side. We'll be together and play. So Shadow I'll be, and his eyes went all crisp. And your little light, without you I wouldn't exist. From that day for months the two together did play, exploring the forest and skies and the caves. Little Light made her potions while Shadow patrolled. This is how life would be as they grew old. One day while Shadow was protecting the village, a circus passed by whose prop tent had spillage. Just little trinkets, nothing to be missed. But Shadow saw something that sent him to bliss. It floated and hovered like he did that day. It was green and was round in a similar way. A great green balloon, and on it a heart, just like bubblegum dragons floating on farts. He swooped and he snatched it, and then he was gone. Back to the cottage, the first place he belonged. He plopped down his butt with arms behind his back. Little Light knew that something was whack. She circled to one side to catch a slight glimpse. He was hiding something, she was convinced. She started to scowl and then walked away. It must be something bad, it's always the same. He's hiding things from me 'cause he doesn't care. Life isn't different, this still isn't fair. She entered her cottage and then closed the door. Shadow was shocked, he thought they'd play more. Not knowing which actions made Little Light sad, he was unsure how to fix this and again make her glad. But a window was open, and he worked out a plan. He crouched down beside it and he lowered his hand. Then raising it slowly with balloon still in grasp, he shouted, Help me! Help me! It's more bubblegum gas! Little Light, looking up, saw the green bulb rising. Surprises were bad, but this was surprising. It took her a moment to see what was up, then realized it was a balloon, not a bubble and butt. She laughed with all mirth and joy and jolly. Shadow's paw behind his back was a moment of folly. It wasn't disaster Shadow tried to hide, rather a present that touched his insides. She knew that she loved him and knew that he cared. It takes great power to keep a dragon ensnared. Strength, courage, and truth are what dragons respect. Fear and terror make dragons say, Good schmecks! But one little struggle does not a lifetime make. His heart hers alone, all for the take. Each day they would play, have parties and songs. Though both had their duties, they had fun all along. Shadow he flew, cooked bad guys and ate 'em. Little Light gathered flowers and made rhymes up verbatim. She had busy days keeping villagers well, playing in the forest, sniffing flowers for smells. But monsters still came, and so did the demons. When she could no longer run, she tried to defeat them. They hurt her quite badly, there were just too darn many. But life might be boring if there just wasn't any. Too hurt to return to the cottage that night, Little Light stayed put to heal from the fight. Shadow, not knowing that all this went on, waited outside her house, but he waited alone. The sun had sank down, the sky grew quite dark. Was that the sound of her calling, or just a small lark? Just a bird in the trees, or a wind through the branches? Perhaps she was captured by a villain named Sanchez! Taking to flight, he searched places he knew. Some places they played, others where flowers grew. But the night was too dark, the day had expired. He returned to the cottage, and there he retired. His mind wouldn't rest, it was active till dawn. And as the sun slowly rose, he hopped up off the lawn. A focused exhale escaped from his nose. A little puff of smoke followed the flow. So many emotions, so many thoughts. I just can't lose her, she's all that I've got. I'll hunt till I find her, till she's home safe and sound. I'll travel by air, and I'll search all the ground. If she should be captive of some evil king, if she should be lost and in need of my wings, should she travel too far and forget where to go, I'll be here to help her, I hope that she knows. Prepared to take on any challenge he faced, Shadow spread his wings, his heart pounded and raced. Just then, out of the trees, Little Light stumbled clearly seeing better days, but at least she was there. He rushed up and hugged her, and calm found his soul. He would have made her a sandwich, but the bread had some mold. Dragons are good with fire and treasure. To learn healing spells is not quite their measure. But Light taught him a potion, black, thick, and dark, that could revitalize a person. It was at least a good start. They sat and she cried as she sipped the concoction, recounting the night, her mind like a top spins. What dragons do best is just what was needed. Little Light grabbed her boots, the ones that were cleated. Revenge wasn't good, and on this they agreed. But for the safety of all, and for Little Light to be freed, the monsters and demons and all the bad things must finally be dealt with. Yes, kicked off the swings. Little Light healed quickly, and the next day they awoke to take on the monsters. But the monsters scoffed. "Is this a joke? A red little witch, not much power to behold, and an over-the-hill dragon past his prime, just too old." Shadow looked down, and Little Light she looked up, and both smiled to each other. Time to mess up their stuff! Shadow breathed fire, Little Light cast her spells. She knew more than just how to keep villagers well. So small in her stature, Little Light was misleading. She would flambe the monsters, then Shadow would eat them. The battle was long, but finally did end. The only two standing, the witch and her friend. Safe and secure, worries subsided. Monsters keep out signs were always abided. Occasionally a troublemaker would come to provoke, if lucky enough to leave monsters always left in smoke. Little Light and Shadow, they sang and they danced. They wore funny hats and parachute pants. Without demons and monsters making Little Light sad, they could focus on fun and the life that they have. The simplest pleasures, each moment a gift. Of course, everyone has problems, each of us gets miffed. But in this one moment, everything is right. So I'll stop reading here and I'll just say goodnight. Fairy tales should end happy, so in conclusion I'll say, they lived happily ever after, forever and a day.